Hey guys, welcome back. In the last video, we got to know about the basic data types in Python, such as integers, floating point numbers, complex numbers, and strings. Today, we are going to learn more about strings in them. Alright, let's get into it. So, string is an object in Python, which is basically a sequence of characters, right? And we know that these are essentially surrounded by either single quotation marks or double quotation marks. It doesn't matter if it's single or double because they're the same. Anything inside this quotes is a string. We learned that we can assign the string to a variable just like that. Uh, we also know from the previous videos that there is also something called as multi-line strings. Now those are surrounded by triple quotes, right? Um, Something like this. The line breaks here are inserted at the same position as in the code. That is, they're printed as it is in the output string. So if I do something like this, I say, hey, how are you and what are you doing, right? And if I run it, it will be printed as it is. And we also know that if we don't assign these multi-line strings to any variable, then it can very much act like a multi-line comment, right? Now in the previous video we also talked about operators acting on numeric operands. Well, some of them worked with string operands too, and we're gonna see them now. So there was addition operator, right? For example, now if I do something like this, I say 2 and there's a C which is a plus b, and I try to print that C, then this will print YouTube, right? It basically joins both the strings together one after the other in that order. Because it's a plus b, it joins tube to u. If say this was b plus a, then it would be tube u, right? Okay, so the second operator was the multiplication operator. I'll give an example. If we do something like this and I try to print a multiplied by n, I'm sorry, this isn't working. Okay, a multiplied by n, and I run it, then this is gonna print food 3 times. It basically concatenates food to itself 3 times. So here you should know that the multiplier has to be an integer, obviously. And surprisingly, it can be a 0 or a negative number also, in which case it will return me an empty string, right? It returns an empty string. Okay, cool. Now Python provides many built-in functions. Now there are few of them which are important and which works with strings. One of them is the len function. It basically returns the length of the string. Okay, so it takes in string as an argument. For example, if I do, I am using the len function, okay, and I try to print the length of the line, right? And if I print it, it gives me 30. Right, exactly. So it takes in string as an argument and returns the number of characters in the string, and characters include everything, okay? Even the punctuation marks, the spaces, and the special characters. So all the spaces are also counted as a character, okay? If I add an exclamation mark and if I run this, I'm gonna get 31, right? So this was the len function. Other function is the str function, the string function. It basically takes in any object as an argument and returns the string representation of that object. Okay. Uh, for example, this is a num, right? Okay. And I have told you about the type function, which prints the type of the object you pass into. So if I try to know the type of num, I print it. It's going to give me that it's a class int. Okay. Now, if I use the str function and pass num to it, so this is going to take this object, the num object, and it's going to return the string representation of that object, and it's going to save it to num. And then I try to print the type of the num. Now it's going to tell me that it's of the class string, because now it's a string, right? So yeah, those were the two built-in functions. Now, strings in Python are arrays. An array is a collection of items stored at continuous memory locations. Right? The idea is to store multiple items of the same type together. So, string is basically these arrays of character, and these are stored in continuous memory locations. And that's why we can access these characters in the string, using square brackets. So, if I have something like, I'll say pizza. Okay, so accessing these characters in the string using square brackets is called indexing. Okay, so the string indexing is zero based. So P here from the pizza is basically at index 0, I is at index 1, Z is at index 2, another Z is at index 3, A is at index 4. So now if I want to access this character I, so what will I do? I'll do food 1, because it is at index 1, okay, 0 and 1. And then if I print it, I'm gonna get I, right? So I'm able to access the characters. If you attempt to index beyond the end of the string, for example, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so the last index is 5. Now if I try to do something like print food 6, this is gonna give me an error, obviously, index string index out of range, right? Now string indices can also be specified with negative numbers. Let me just comment this so that it doesn't give me an error again. Okay, so they can be negative numbers also, in which case the indexing occurs from the end of the string backward. So -1 refers to the last character, right? So this is at -1, this is at -2, the Z is at -2, other Z is -3, -4, and -5, right? So if I do something like this, print food -1, it's going to give me the last character, A, right? So yeah, that was indexing. With the help of this indexing, we can also kind of slice the strings. I mean, I can extract substrings from the strings with the help of indexes. Um, for example, I'll do something like this. I am slicing strings. Okay, so if I want to retrieve the string I am, okay, this is the substring of this uh, complete string. So I want to have this I am. The syntax for that is I'll print x starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if I do something like 0 to 5 and I print this, I'll get I am. You see, what this will do is, this will return me the portion of this string starting from index 0, okay, up to but not including the character at index 5. Okay, so only up to index 4. So 0, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All the characters at this position it will return. Okay. If I try to do something like this, print x, um, maybe I'll just skip the second index. And if I print this, then I'm gonna get the slice of the string from index 6 till the end, because I haven't mentioned the second index here, right? Similarly, if I try to do something like this, I don't mention the first index and I say 8. I'm gonna get the slice of the string starting with index 0 up to but not including the character at index 8. I am fly. Nice. Okay. And I don't think I need to mention this, but if I try to do something like this, then this is gonna give me the whole string, right? Exactly, the whole string. I am slicing strings. You can slice using negative indices also. For example, if you try to do something like this, I'll say minus 11 till minus 1. So this will print the string starting from index minus 11, which will be from backwards, right? So I is at index minus 11, and it will go up till s, but not including s, because minus 1 is the last character. We know that. But since the character at minus 1 should not be included in the slice, then it just returns me in string, right? Okay. Now, if you add one more index to this syntax, you will be able to jump between the characters while slicing, right? So if I try to do something like this, 2, right? So this will slice the entire string, skipping every second character, right? So it will print I, but it won't print the space. It will print A, but it won't print the M. Then it will print space. It will print. Then it won't print S. It will print L. It won't print I. Right? Up till the end. Because we haven't mentioned the first and the second index here. If I mention that, I say I want to slice from position 6 to position uh, 10 and jump every second character. Okay? Then I'm just gonna get C. Now you can jump in the negative direction too, right? For example, I'll do something like this. Now, since you are jumping backwards, the first index has to be greater than the second index. For example, I'll do 11 to 2 and I'm gonna skip backwards. Okay, so it will start from 11. 11 would be, I don't want to count, but 11 would be, I guess, G, right? So it will skip N, it will print I. Skip R, it will print, no, this G. Okay, it's this G. So it will print G, then it skips N, it prints I, it skips C, then I, then it skips L, then S, and it will go on until the index 2, which is A, right? But A is not included, so it goes till M. Okay? This is very commonly used to reverse a string. See, if I do something like this, I'm gonna get the reverse of the string. Because since the third index is negative, Python steps backward. Okay, so it starts from the end to the start index. So that would give you the reverse of the string. Okay, steps backward by one, starting from the end to the first index. Okay, so that was about slicing. Now, Python has many built-in string methods. If you're hearing methods for the first time, it is basically similar to functions, but it is different. It is different in the sense that they are called with an object. They're basically called on the object. Like whatever the method does, it performs all that instructions on that object. Okay, which with which we called it. So it will be clearer when clearer when I start talking about different string methods. It is basically a concept of object-oriented programming. And since Python supports both procedural and object-oriented programming, we have methods here. So these methods are defined in the string class. Okay, so they are string methods and they can be called on string objects. Okay, so one of such methods is capitalize. For example, if I type my name, I'll I'll do everything small and I capital. Okay. Now, what I'll just do is this is name is my object. I'm calling the capitalize method on my name object, right? And I will print my name object now. I'm calling it, and whatever this method will return, I will store it in name only, and I'll print that name. Okay. So I'm gonna get this. So what this capitalize method does is it returns a copy of the target string. This is my target string, right? With the first character converted to the uppercase and all the other characters converted to the lowercase. Okay, only the first character will be uppercase. Now it will return a copy, right? I said copy because strings are immutable. That is, it cannot be modified once created. So when we do something like this, when we use the methods on such objects, what it does is it basically creates a copy of the string with desired changes, and then this name will point to that new copy of the string. Okay, and then I'm printing that new copy of the string. So similarly, we have a method called lower, which is print here only. So if I do something name dot lower and I'm printing it again, this will convert all the characters to lowercase, right? Similarly, if I just name dot upper is also a method. You know what this is gonna do, right? This is gonna convert all the characters to uppercase, right? There's also something called a swap case. For example, let's do that here. For example, if I do something just random, okay. Array, why? I want it to be like this. Okay. Array, this is so irritating. I don't know why does it do that. I don't want it like this. Fine. Now I'll call in the swap case method. Okay, and I'll print that name. By the name of it, by the name of method only, it's gonna swap the case. So whatever, what happened? Oh my God, it's supposed to be a string, of course. So yeah, this is gonna swap the cases. So whatever right now is in uppercase is gonna convert it to lowercase, and all the lowercase characters are going to be converted into uppercase characters, right? Now there's also something called as title method, which is very considerate. It basically converts the first character of each word to uppercase. So R is uppercase and I is uppercase, so else this is lowercase. Everything else is lowercase. Right? So these were some of the string methods on the same line. Uh, Okay, so we also have the count method, which returns the number of times a specific value appears in the string. So if I try to print, I'm calling the count method on the name object, and I want to count the number of A's in the name. Okay, that is Riya Ingale, and that is going to give me 2, right? Similarly, if one I can pass in more arguments to this count methods. For example, I can pass in, you give me the number of A's, but you start searching for A from index position 3 to index position 7, right? And I don't know how many A's are there. Okay, so there's just one A between index position 3 and index position 7, right? Let's see how many I's are there. There's 0 I's. Okay, so that's what the count method does. Then we have the find method, which finds the occurrence of the specified value. Okay, the first occurrence. If there are multiple occurrences of the specified value, then it's going to return the first occurrence of that value. So if I do find me the first R, we know that Riya Ingale has first character R, so it's going to give me 0. Oh, it's going to give me -1. It's saying that it didn't find R. It didn't find, because this is case sensitive. Okay, uh there's no small r in Riya Ingale. So I'm gonna say capital R. Okay, and if I try to find it, then it gives me 0. It found R and it is the first character of the string. Okay, if I say I want to find N, this is going to give me the first occurrence of N, and that is our index position 6, as you can see. Now, at the same time, if I try to do something like this, R find. Now this will give me the last occurrence of N. Okay, if there are multiple occurrences, then it will give me the last occurrence of N. Now since there's only one N in Riya Ingale, it's just gonna give me 6 and 6 both the times. Let's see something. Okay, A. Let's try A. Okay, if I try to find A normally, and if I find A by R find. Okay, now it tells me that the first occurrence is at index position 3 and the last occurrence is at index position 8, right? So that's what our find and find does. Then there's something called as replace method, which replaces the specified phrase with another specified phrase. Okay. So if there are more than one occurrences, then it replaces all the occurrences unless you mention that, okay, you change only first 3 occurrences or something like that. You can pass that argument, but by default it changes all the occurrence. Okay, for this, let's do something different. Okay, I'll say that, okay, I'll say I am recording a video. Okay, and now I will say that print m dot replace, and I'll replace m with was. So this is one phrase and I want to replace this phrase with was. Okay, and I'll try to print it. I'm gonna get I was recording a video, right? Now if I want to replace all the O's with X. Okay, and I'll try to run it, and this is gonna replace all the O's with X, you see? But now what I want to replace only one O with X. So I'll explicitly mention that, okay, I just want to replace only one O with X. So it's not gonna replace that last O with X. See, this is as it is, it just replaced this O with X, right? So yeah, this is how it works. That's the replace method. Then there's something called as strip method, which basically returns the trim version of the string. So, suppose I have a lot of space at the beginning and end. Okay. So whenever I try to print this, it's gonna print these spaces along with it, right? You see, I see all the space. What if I don't want that space? Okay, now I don't want that space. So what I'll do is I'll strip all the white space of that and then I'll print it. And then I'm gonna get nicely trimmed string, right? Now what if instead of space there was this? Okay. Now it's not going to strip this because it only strips space. But unless you give it an argument, now I want to say that I want to strip the stars from the beginning and end of the string. And if I try to run this, then it's going to strip all these stars from the beginning and the end. See, I get a nicely trimmed string, right? It's useful when you want to read from a file. You know, whenever you want to read from a file, you always use strip because you don't want all the extra spaces when you want to do something with the text in the file, right? Okay, then there's a split method, which is kind of nice if you ask me. Okay, I'll just remove all these things. Yeah, I was talking about the strip method. It's very useful. I want to, let's just put this in n, and I'll say m dot split. Of course. So what it does is it splits this m, okay, and it returns me a list. Okay, I have to print n also, right? So I'll print n. So this will return me a list of all the words in the string. Okay. Now, now by default, it considers this white space as a separator, right? Now, if you want to specify, like if you want to explicitly give a separator, for example, um, what about you? Okay. Now I want to say that I want to split this with comma as a separator. Okay, there's a comma, right? And now if I run it, it's gonna split it with comma as an exploiter and it's gonna give me just two elements in my list. So there are just two elements now, right? So now this is returning a list. This is one of the data structures in Python and it is the collection of this items um, in the square bracket, right? So we'll learn about this in detail later. You'll understand it very nicely. But I just wanted to, since this split is a string method, so I just wanted to put this here. That is a split method, and it splits the string and returns a list with all the words as elements in the list. Okay. So yeah, I guess guys that's it for this video. We learned about strings in depth, operators used with strings, indexing, and slicing into strings. We talked about many string methods briefly. Lots of topics for you guys to explore. If you liked it or if it helped you in any way, please hit the like button for me. Subscribe for more such videos. Keep supporting until then. Take care. See you soon. Bye bye.